Turning back to Inaugural Day, Martin Luther King Day, my next guest says the president laid out his true agenda, destroying the founding principles of this nation about limited government to meet what he calls his leftist needs. Joining us now is Ben Shapiro, editor-at-large, Breitbart News, author of the book Bullies: How the Left's Culture of Fear and Intimidation Silences America. Ben, good to have you with us. Now, I understand Professor Prothero is watching carefully to see what he could learn about, well, your conservative perspective for his own use. Welcome. What did you think?
Thanks for having me. That was, I mean, what an Orwellian speech. I mean, talk about a reversal of every term that Americans hold dear. Liberty becomes collective action. Absolutism is opposed to principle. Everything that he says was basically turning American history on its head. As it turns out, I also learned things about myself during that speech that I found educational. It turns out that if I oppose Obama, I hate women, I hate gays, I hate old people, I hate the disabled, and I'm also a denier of science. So I found out all those things today, and yet President Obama said that we are a united country. So in that way, it was a unique speech.
He also said, quote, "We understand that outworn programs are inadequate." If we could put this up for the audience to read if they did not hear it. "We understand that outworn programs are inadequate to the needs of our time. We must harness new ideas and technology to remake our government. That is what will give real meaning to our creed." So in other words, the founding principles and values of the nation have no reality unless we remake our government and apparently support some ideas and technology that is unmentioned or perhaps not even available right now.
He hates the Constitution. I mean, that's what it comes down to. What his speech came down to, he said, you know, we have to adapt founding principles to our changing times, to our changing needs. We must change. No, you know what? The Constitution was written with an unchanging view of human nature in mind. And the left believes that the only thing that can change human nature on a fundamental level is collective action, i.e. the government. So the Constitution stands in the way of their grand plan to change human nature as it is currently constituted. And that's why everything that you hear coming out of Obama is about changing who we are as people. And what that involves is a tremendous reversal of all basic common sense. It turns out that if you want to keep your own money, you're now a taker, whereas if you are a recipient of Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid, you're contributing to the collective wealth. And this has completely turned language upside down. I thought the key line of the entire speech, President Obama said it near the end. He said, "Our founding creed doesn't dictate that we agree on what liberty constitutes." Actually, Mr. President, it does. That may be the only thing that our founding creed dictates. Because if we weren't fighting for liberty against tyranny, what is the Declaration of Independence about? He's just rendered all of our founding documents meaningless in the name of big government progressivism.
You know, Ben, I've got to believe that we are going to see fallout from this speech because precisely of the rhetoric that he employed, which is, first of all, hollow and much of it meaningless, signifying nothing to the expressions, including the one that you've just referenced on liberty, that I believe is going to be contested sharply in the, if you will, in the commentariat, probably ignored in its entirety by the national left-wing media. I want to ask you about one question here, and that's CBS News political director John Dickerson, writing on Slate, said, "The president who came into office speaking in lofty terms about bipartisanship and cooperation can only cement his legacy if he destroys the GOP." That's the CBS News political director. They've just hired Condoleezza Rice as a contributor, you know, one of the emblems, if you will, of the Republican Party. Square all of that up for us, would you?
Well, I mean, what they're doing is they're hiring Republicans who have a history of attacking other Republicans. And that's why you see Colin Powell on TV talking about the dark vein of intolerance that runs within the Republican Party. That's why Michael Steele was on TV today talking about just how horrible it was that Republicans didn't show up for this grand party feeding President Obama. The news media understands this. The left news media understands this. President Obama's goal is to fundamentally remake the nation. And what that requires is not bipartisanship. It means completely destroying his opposition through bully tactics by calling us racist, bigots, sexist, homophobes. That's what that speech was about. That's what his agenda is about. And that's what this news media, which is calling, I mean, how could you possibly call that a bipartisan speech? You have to be so on the Kool-Aid. I mean, they're running out of Kool-Aid supply all over the country to buy into that.
I agree with Professor Prothero. It seemed rather conservative. No, I'm kidding. Appreciate it. Ben Shapiro, good to have you with us.
Thanks a lot.
Coming up tomorrow, by the way, the author of the book, Bullies, go out. We recommend it highly. Be sure to go out and pick it up, Amazon.com. Again, Ben Shapiro, author of Bullies. Up here tomorrow, author, former federal prosecutor Andrew McCarthy.